All right, so here is my finished product of the learning menu that I plan on using with my classes. Um, if you're in the Wakelet, the resources, they're all right there. You can find all these templates, but you can also find um, this as well that you could just edit yourself if you want to set it up exactly this way. Again, I didn't go super fancy like a Canva template. You can. I just decided time and energy. Um, it's a lot to develop all of these things. So perhaps once I get this exactly as I want, 100% perfect, tried it out, then maybe I do pretty it up and do it in Canva. Make it look like an actual menu. Like you're probably not going into a restaurant and seeing a menu like this, right? But um, it's more the choice thing. It's more the activities. That's what I really wanted the focus to be. So again, it's kind of what you want it to be. So a few things I want to mention here. Students have a choice, right? The appetizer, the entree, which I spelled right this time. The dessert, they have a choice of everything here. Um, and again, each section, and I think this is important as far as when you're designing this, and as you go through the OER materials, the course, so to speak, and you sort of follow along, that's the thing is picking a topic where you can divide out these things. If you're doing student choice as a learning menu, you've got to kind of have different themes of the unit of study, whatever it is you're doing. And so here, the historical context, and I'll show you these examples. We've got the events of the civil rights movement, we've got people, and then we've got the all must do. Now, why did I choose that? Well, um, there's a few reasons you may want to do that. If there's an activity that you think is really solid or that you've done before and you know this works so well, I want my students to do this because I know they learn. I don't want them to choose something else. I know this is good. Or students need to have this particular writing skill, so I'm going to make them do this, and that's fine. The reason I did this is because I wanted this assignment also to meet some of New York State's computer science and digital fluency standards. So there's multiple parts to this, and I'll talk about it as we get to the bottom. But one is using AI and interacting with AI in that way, and the other is talking about sort of different forms, like comparing systems and networks over time. Is what they're doing, like mass media, social media, um, all of those sorts of things. So that's really why I wanted to include this and make every student do it at the end. But let's go up to here. Again, I have my description, I have my directions. Um, you can play around with the formatting to meet your tastes. But I want to run through what these are. So this is the historical context. You choose one. The big thing I want to say with this example, I just have the templates here for you. I have the activities for you. You can change these for whatever topic. I kind of like some of these ideas. Obviously, this one's pretty specific, right? Equality versus reality, rights in the Jim Crow South. The 14th Amendment, again, how did this work? 15th Amendment, what did it actually do, right? So this is meant to be kind of a quick thing. Students have already done this, right? We're way past this in the course, but it's one of the first things we did. Just for some context, in New York State, uh, Reconstruction is the first unit we start with in 8th grade, and now we're the 1950s, 60s civil rights movement, right? So it's just to say, hey, that thing we did back in September, let's remember that because that's really our context here. You know, post Reconstruction, this is the context. So there is that one. So let's go back. Um, that's one option. The other option, postcards from the past. And again, they are the role of an African American living in the South. They're writing to a friend or family member in the North. They talk about how you hoped things would change. However, the promise of equality did not become reality. And so talk about these things. Again, I don't provide for you in this all the readings and the resources and the videos. And I figure you can probably track those down. Um, you know, if you're teaching a social studies class, there's a million out there. You can always um, reach out if you're struggling to find the resources, but Jim Crow laws, poll taxes, literary tests, I mean, there's a whole ton of stuff out there that you have access to, or it could be just textbooks, that's something you have if you have books or booklets or anything like that. So here are the guidelines of what it should include, and this can translate to just about anything, right? You just take this template and change the you know the assignment itself. If you're not doing civil rights mood, if you're a science teacher, you could just literally put in here, here's the postcard you're writing. So keep that in mind. These are adaptable across content areas. Let's look now at the entree. So this is a Canva infographic. Canva, free for educators. So you click on this, and here's the template. I'll just show you if you do decide to use it. There are a whole bunch of infographic templates in Canva. So if you have an interest in Canva or creating any template, you can do that, and you can share the template. You can get a link so that people can make their own copy. And so here it is. You just delete the picture, put your own pictures. The students would then replace this text and talk all about it. So that's how that works. The students would, they pick the event again. The choices for this, and actually I don't think I put it very clear in my instructions for these two events. I did for the here, but I do need to put it in my Canva template, which I will do. Students have to either choose the freedom rides or the sit-in movement. So my Canva template, by the time you see this, will change to say they're picking one of those. Again, they're writing a letter from the point of view of a fictional person who participated in or witnessed the freedom rides of the sit-in movement. Here's what the letter should include. Template on the next page. Here we go. And they delete, they hopefully, if they don't know to delete any parts that I typed in here, they should make sure they do that. One other thing is we're kind of going through these. I want to point out literally any of these things could be done offline or online. You could print them out and have students hand them in. With the letter, you probably then would take out all of my little things here, right? You delete that, but you still could just print it out, have them do it. So this we're calling What They Carried, a Civil Rights Suitcase. Open up this one, and they choose either Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks. They pack the suitcase with things. The other thing they are going to do is decorate, and that's right at the beginning, decorate the outside of. So they're choosing some stickers to put on the outside that should reflect events in their lives, beliefs, values. Again, could be a scientific concept, could be a character from a book, right? This goes across content areas. Or it can go across content areas. They're also packing 2 items in the suitcase, and they describe what it is. So here is the criteria. The suitcase is here. Use the template right there to do it. And then they circle who it was, what is it, why. I chose this because Martin Luther King believed this. This sticker symbolizes that thing, whatever it might be, right? So again, 3 stickers, packing 2 items. There you go. We go to Voices of Change. So again, students choose one. They are creating Voices of Change, a life in song. Again, could be anything, content area wise. You're picking 5 songs, and again, you're picking one of the 2. The song, they should include here the song, the artist, the year it was released. That way I can check the lyrics and that sort of stuff too, why you chose this song. You can come up with all sorts of restrictions or guidelines on this. It can be songs that have no inappropriate lyrics if you want. However you want to put it in here, you can do that. I left it kind of generic. I probably eventually, I don't know why that did that. I probably will add that in there that, it has to be an appropriately themed song, right? We don't want students coming in with songs that, if you don't want your social studies teacher listening to it, don't do it. Okay, so here's the last part, and then I'm going to show you. I'm going to make a separate video, sort of showing the chat bot in action here that I set up. But the idea is, I've set up a chatbot, and we use Google Classroom. Again, all these things can be submitted in Google Classroom, or you could have students pick which things they turn in or they do. They just tell you. You could have them all attached in the assignment, and they sort of pick the ones they do. You could have them. Have access to all the things, but attach the things they do to their assignment. So again, you could do it a variety of ways in that regard. But these can be printed out again too. It doesn't have to be online. All of this can be paper, or it can be online. So they have this chatbot, and the chatbot was set up to basically give the pros and cons of mass media, like how these people got the word out about their issue, about their concerns, about events they were running and protests they were holding back in the 50s and 60s civil rights movement compared to today, and those positives and negatives, right? The size of the audience, misinformation, discrimination that they might face, the depth of people's involvement with that activism, back then compared to present day. So again, I'll make a separate video that'll be in the Wakelet resources that are linked in the description of this video. If you found this video on YouTube, you can follow the link and see the entirety of these materials. You can kind of go through step by step and figure out how to make a learning menu. So yeah, and right here, so here's what it is. I want this paragraph: positives and negatives of the civil rights movement, of mass media then, positives and negatives of mass media on present day activists, and then they make a claim which was better. So they're kind of making that evaluation as to which one it is, despite knowing the positives and negatives of both. So with that, that's kind of the overall learning menu. Again, biggest thing is making sure that no matter what the students do, they learn the same thing. And so that's why for a lot of these, it wasn't, watch this Ed puzzle or do this reading or do this other thing, because that might give them different information. You can do that. It just takes a lot of time to find a video that you have as an Ed puzzle that gives the same, not all information, but the objectives of what the kids at your grade level need to know. All right, so there'll be other follow-up videos to this, again, about the chatbot, about scoring these, about how to overall sort of create the materials and use these materials. A lot of this stuff too, again, they may be follow videos, but it'll be listed out in the Wakelet as well, regardless of whether there are future follow-up videos about that. So good luck. I encourage you to just think about an upcoming unit you're doing and how you can do this, even on a small scale. If you haven't done it before, then just take one thing and say, okay, I'm not going to do this whole learning menu, but I can have at the beginning of class these two things and see how it goes, see what choices the students make, and then expand it out to something like this in the future. The school years are wrapping up, right? So it's May as I record this. If you're watching in September, you're wondering what I'm talking about. But if you watch this in May, as this posts, come up with something to start next year that you think you might want to try if this is the type of thing that interests you.